So how do I heal? How do I heal my trauma? How do I heal from my physical illness that has manifested from trauma trapped in my energy? Those are the questions I get all the time in my sessions as an intuitive health medium, as well as in my platform with videos that I put about how we energetically store trauma in areas of our body, depending on what is going on energetically, where we're out of balance, and it'll manifest into illness over time. And the question I get is like, how do I heal that? How do I heal my energy? How do I heal my physical body? How do I change my life and manifest my reality, right? Like, that's a very, very normal question. So healing energetically and healing physically, the word in general with healing is kind of loosely used across the board. And for myself as an intuitive health medium, when I see the word healing, it's not necessarily like healing, like an injury. It's healing as in reconditioning our mind and changing our behaviors across the board. Now, what I mean by that is when we go through stress or something traumatic, we react instantly without even thinking. And then when we react, we attach an emotion to that. And it's usually either fear or sadness, mourning. It depends on what's going on. But it's a low vibrational emotion attached to a high stressed, high reactive behavior. And that's where we get conditioned, because if we're in this environment for long term, we stay in that behavior, and then it becomes conditioned. Next thing you know, it becomes a way of life. And even if it's a one-time event that just happened in a day, if it's something very traumatic, there'll be triggers attached to it. And then what keeps us in that reactive conditioned behavior is seeing those triggers throughout life. They may not even be related to what we experienced that caused the trigger, but it's the trigger outside of the situation that repeats that memory and repeats that emotion, and we get triggered, which keeps us in that hyper-reactive state. That hyper-reactive state is where the stress comes from, which when we're sending stress signals, our body reacts accordingly, which is illness. Now here's the fun fact. Healing doesn't happen overnight. Healing takes work, and it will be the hardest thing you do, but it will also be the most rewarding. Because when you can break those habits and behaviors, that energy will stop cycling into your life. Because when you're in a hyper-reactive state and you're repeating those behaviors, what happens is it repeats experiences and lessons that come back to you, and you just keep living in fight or flight. And you're just in fight or flight, you're in survival mode, and what's happening is that illness, that disease is progressing, it's intensifying, and it keeps getting worse and worse until you break those habits and behaviors and change your mindset, change your thinking to recondition yourself back into a healing mindset. So as you do this, it takes time to venture back into your past and be an observer of your past. So when you do that, you go back as an observer, not as a victim, not as someone who is suffering. You go back as an observer, and you look at those patterns and those behaviors, and then you compare them to where you're at in the present, and the ones that aren't serving you, those are the ones you break.